Welcome to the Spheres of Spirit with Nancy Myers, aka the Lady of the Light. Nancy will discuss the everyday magic and wisdom of spirit which surrounds each of us, waiting to be discovered. She will share some of her remarkable orb photos, proving that our angels, guides, loved ones in spirit, and even pets surround us and guide us in our physical world. During this episode, Nancy will discuss one of the many spheres or aspects of spirit available to us based on her orb photography. She will also share a special channeled message from her guide, Leonini, and do an oracle card reading to help guide you along your personal spiritual adventure. And now, here is your host, orb photographer, author, medium, and speaker, Nancy Myers.
Hi, welcome to the Spheres of Spirit. I am Nancy Myers, and I'm so excited that you're here with me today because this show is going to be one that really will stretch the imagination. When I started this show and I named it the Spheres of Spirit, it was because there were so many different aspects of being spiritual or learning about spiritual things. And I told you that I would share these with you as per my experiences and my photographs. Well, the one that I'm going to share with you today, I never dreamed in 1,000 years that this would be part of it. But this one is about advanced civilizations, interdimensional beings, UFOs. So today I ask you that you listen with an open mind, look at the evidence, do your own research, explore your own beliefs, and see if this fits. You know, the timing of this, I find, of course, it's all in divine timing, but, it's like the government lately has been releasing information about the existence of aliens with their videos that the Navy pilots have captured and whatnot. And in conjunction or in partnership to that is the telescope that we launched, the James Webb Telescope. That was launched in 2021 on Christmas Day by NASA. It's named James Webb, but there was an administrator that used to work for NASA, and they honored him by naming the telescope. But as this telescope goes deeper and deeper into our universe, the images that are coming back are stunning. What they're learning is the astrophysicists and scientists, that there really is no big empty space. There are galaxies everywhere they look. So far, they've discovered 130,000 galaxies and counting. And within each galaxy are billions of stars. And within each orbit of those stars, there is at least 2 planets. Kind of boggles the mind at how many planets are out there. Our own Milky Way galaxy has between 800 billion and 3.2 trillion planets. Scientists estimate that within those planet numbers that I just stated, there could be as many as 6 billion Earth-like planets. The universe, they say, was created 14 billion years ago from the Big Bang. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is kind of a youngster. It's only about 3 billion years old. So the scientists are discovering galaxies which are billions of years older than ours. The astrophysicists say that they only understand about 4% of our universe. They say 95% of the universe is made up of dark matter or dark energy. And as the astrophysicist said that I was listening to, what does it mean when they call it dark energy? It means they don't know what it is. Now, I'm talking about all this because when you talk about interdimensional beings and beings that are billions of years older than us, think how far ahead they are of us. And if they are that far ahead of us, if they have ascended, if they have changed their physical makeup, which I'm going to show you and talk about, do they even need to live in an Earth-like planet with the physical limitations that we have on these physical bodies? Perhaps not. They've transcended that. So just kind of keep that in mind as I talk about my experiences with my friend, Mardi McCray. Hi, Marty.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Marty is kind
Glad to be
enough
here.
to join us by telephone. She's been having some technical difficulties, but this is, and I'm so blessed that she's here. This is the third time Marty's been to the show. You kind of know her, you know our friendship, her connection to my son, Robbie. But this is a side that we've experienced together, right, Marty?
Yes.
Yes. I want to share with the audience a little bit about where you live. So, Chris, if we can get up the first picture there. So Marty lives in Washington, about 25 minutes from this mountain. This mountain, Marty, this is Mount Adams, right?
Yes.
And actually, that was this winter, right?
Yeah. That picture was wintertime, wasn't it?
Yeah, just gorgeous. So this is what Marty gets to look at every day.
But yeah, that's the view from my house, that one of Mount Adams. Yeah.
Yep. So Mount Adams has quite the reputation. Mount Adams in the UFO'ology they've recorded and seen many UFO anomalies, they call it, right?
Yes.
And
hotspot. Worldwide, it's a hotspot. Yeah.
Yes.
Top 10 worldwide is
Yes.
Mount Adams and this area.
It's incredible. So at the base of Mount Adams, I went up to see Marty, and at the base of Mount Adams, there's a ranch owned by a man named James Gillilands. And he has a ranch, and it's called ECETI, ECETI. And that stands for Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So he promotes the idea that we can contact these beings, correct, Marty?
Yes.
And
it's a popular place to go. It's only about half an hour from me. So yeah, you and I went and had amazing experiences.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So we were researching this, and we said, okay, we're this close, we're going. So we hopped in Marty's car, and we drove out, and we got there at sunset. Or just before the sunset, and that's kind of what you do. And we get there, and we see all these people kind of setting up lawn chairs with all their equipment, their telescopes, their computers, their cameras, and you kind of wait for the sun to go down, right?
Yeah.
And we didn't know what to expect.
No. But then everyone just, kind of sits out together. You're right at the foot of the mountain. It's just looming large right up in front of you. And then you just start every night. This is not something different or new that happened just for us. It's almost every night there's a show there. There's vehicles, alien, what we believe are unidentified, UAPs or UFOs coming and going from the mountain.
They think it's a base, right?
You go to, sorry?
They think it's a base.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know that, but it just looks like that from what you see. There's, light ships coming and going. And there's interesting photos and videos all over on YouTube if you just go to the ECETI Ranch channel.
Yep.
And they've got amazing captures over the years. And a few of them are really interesting because they have what looks like a garage door in the side of the mountain, like a giant cement stone door that opens and closes. And there's a lot of debate on what is that? Is that literally what it looks like it is, or is it just a shadow? But It surely looks like that. And you can see when we were there, I saw many green, they were green mostly, green lights, green orbs coming and going from this one side of the mountain. And they just look like they're flying smack into the mountain and they disappear.
Yeah. There's a video or a documentary that goes back, I believe it's the 50s. And there was a pilot that was flying along, and he said he saw maybe, I don't know, 8 or 10 vehicles, UFOs, and he followed them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they flew right into the mountain. He watched
That
them.
was Mount, I think that was Mount, oh, I don't know. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's one also, Kenneth Arnold was he was over Mount Rainier.
He did, but he followed them to Mount Adams, I think, and that's where
I
they
didn't
flew
know
in.
that. Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that's it. But you can find all this
Wow.
on good
Yeah.
old YouTube. But so Marty and I go, and like she said, she saw the 3 orbs. I saw some lights way up in the sky, but I was busy taking pictures, and Marty goes, "Did you see that?" And I go, "No, I was taking pictures." But I did capture this one. So, Chris, if we can bring up the next picture. And this is my picture. That's Mount Adams. So we're sitting, just in the field in front of it. And perfectly placed blue orb right over the top. Now I couldn't see this with my eyes, but I did capture it with my camera. So we finished out the night. Thank you, Chris. And we packed up our stuff. We thought, this is an experience that, anybody interested in this, if you're in the area, I highly recommend that you go up there. Now, the owner, he can be a little eccentric in my opinion, but he opens his ranch up to everybody, and but you don't even have to be at the ranch. If you're just in the vicinity, you can witness these balls of light, these orbs coming and going.
Yes.
And there are many other stories when people say, I saw a UFO or I captured a UFO. It was in an orb form. So we decided to go, then we went back to Marty's. And I want to talk about, Marty, what you see with your own eyes at your place. And if we can bring up the next picture, Chris, while she talks.
And that's the meadow picture with the lights and the trees?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I've seen that. You can see those orbs with your naked eye here. I've run into them literally, taking my dogs out at, it's usually like 3 or 4 in the morning when you see things like that. But that seems to be, the witching hour or the common time. But I have seen orbs in the trees here countless times now that look like what you captured on that picture of my meadow.
Mm-hmm.
And they're I'd say they range from the size of a basketball up to 15 feet tall.
Wow.
And mostly they're the color that you see. They're kind of goldy yellow, white, but then there are blue ones. I've seen a lot of blue ones, light blue.
And what do they do, Marty? Do they just kind of come and go? Do they fade in and out? What is it that they do?
It feels to me, the things that I've experienced personally here are, I was with you when you took that one photo there.
Uh-huh.
So that was, you snapped the photo and we, with our naked eye, weren't seeing anything. But then we were seeing on the photo, I was looking at the back of your camera as you'd take the pictures and you'd see the orbs.
Yeah.
And so we were feeling it, though. We were feeling lots of electricity in the air, I'd say.
Yep.
It feels really sparkly. That's the best way I can describe it. It feels like, like you get the shivers.
Yep.
And you feel electrical energy and you feel like you're being watched. You feel like there's other beings there with you. And so that's a little, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I was going to say, I never felt threatened.
No. It's just kind of, I don't know, eerie. Eerie is a good word. And also it's otherworldly. It's just what it feels like. It feels what's happening? Something's happening, and you kind of get the shivers like that. I call it the spirit shivers,
Yeah, exactly.
And then, you took many other pictures that had just chock full of orbs.
Yep.
That we could see when you enlarged it on my computer screen, could
Mhm.
see the spirits of animals and ETs, little, they look like gray aliens in the faces in the orbs.
Yeah, some of them did.
We've got lots of pictures like that here that you took.
Yep.
When you enlarge the orb, you can clearly see, oh, there's an ET. Oh, there's a raccoon. There's a bunny.
There's a deer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Deer and wild animals, and then also the gray aliens.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's interesting. And then, but for me, when I have seen those physical orbs in the trees, it has gone along with the sudden appearance of interdimensional beings, let's just say.
Yes.
So,
yes. And also, Marty, just to tell our audience, every time there's not a lot of times when things like this appear near where you live or you witness it, don't you see a lot of military come in?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
A lot of the Black Hawk helicopters will immediately come in. And it's just, again, what's going on with the military. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But one of the things Marty and I were doing out at night, or at her cabin, was we were doing what's called this protocol. Now, Marty has been following this man named Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, Greer, for much longer than I have. But Dr. Greer, really quick, was a trauma ER doctor who had some experiences. And then for the last 30 years, he has been trying to get this knowledge, this information that has been suppressed out to the public. And he's going to have a big conference in June. If you look him up, you can find out. He did a press club where he had the whistleblowers or people who were willing to come forward with this secret information in 2001. And I think he had a dozen or so people, like from the Pentagon, from the CIA, from the military, from private sector, from all areas. And these people said, yes, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. Well, he's going to do it again this June. And he said it's going to knock our socks off. He has the documents, the people. But why Marty started following him was Dr. Greer is another person who believes we can communicate with these highly advanced, highly enlightened beings. They are not here to harm us. And so he has what he calls a protocol, and you play it on your phone or CD, and it sounds, and you kind of go into meditation, and you send out through love and invitation for the ETs or the UFOs or the orbs to come, right, Marty? Do I describe that correctly?
Yes, it's consciousness based, meaning that his theory, well, I don't even know if it's a theory or just pure fact, because it's so common knowledge now in the UFO community anyway, that consciousness is sort of the last frontier of space-time continuum. Yep. So how these ships are traveling to our planet, it is believed that through wormholes, or through, not a wormhole, what's it called? A vortex, or what's the word I'm looking for?
Time warp?
No. You know what I'm trying to say.
That's okay.
The vortex, the portal. There you go. PORTAL. It was a P word. Through portals. Portals have been proven. There's a lab nearby here within 100 miles of me, in fact, strangely. There's a government lab called Battelle Institute, and they have studied portals and how to create them and how to open them.
Wow.
And so I do believe on my property, the way you see ships appear when you do this protocol is they appear out of nowhere. They just flash in as if they just appeared through a portal.
Yeah.
It's like the sky opened up a hole and went, whoop, there's your orb, there's your ship.
Yep.
And that's what I find fascinating. And that's what the CE5, it's called Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, which is human-initiated contact with ETs. And so it's called the CE5 protocol. I think it's like a $9.99 app that you can download from the Play Store
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
on your phone. And it has the crop circle tones. It has a guided meditation. And what we're basically doing is just sitting there. It's better if you can do it with a group of people, but you can do it alone too.
Yep.
It's just, I've done it alone now a lot of times, which I never thought I would because I'm really scared of all this stuff. I swim in these waters. It still freaks me out to sit alone and do it, but I have done now. I've done it by myself a lot of times.
Yeah.
And it does work. 9 times out of 10, you can have a ship appear right above you.
And funny that we're going to get into that in a minute, but I wanted to say, you said they come through portals. I asked my son one time in spirit through a medium, Robbie, why orbs? Why are things in a globe, in a sphere, in an orb? And he said, Mom, it's the most efficient way to travel between dimensions. So yeah, but Marty and I were doing the protocol, and we were calling them in, and I snapped a picture. And Chris, if you can bring up that next picture, this was very far off. This is as far in as I can zoom before it pixelates. But this is not an orb. It has a definite shape of a saucer, and so I believe that Marty and I called it in. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and
100%.
yeah. So that's my
That was
UFO.
tough.
That's my UFO ship.
I thought I saw that with my naked eye, and then I saw you take a picture of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Yeah.
No, it's true. But in my naked eye, it was
Huh?
it was kind of an orb. And when I took a picture and zoomed in, you can see almost
Right.
the
That was
ship.
the shape.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it came from
It
nowhere.
was
It was
definitely
just like,
a ship, a spaceship. Yeah.
right. And it just, again, like you said, it just appeared from nowhere. Thank you, Chris, for that. But Marty, I would like you to share your story about one of the first times you did the protocol with your family, because this is fascinating.
Yes. So it was 2009, I believe. And so I've been following Dr. Greer since the 90s. And I've been obsessed because I've had a lifetime myself of experiences with ETs, UFOs, communication back and forth. I belong to MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. I am part of the experiencer team, meaning I'm a person who has experienced contact with ETs. And so that's why I'm all in on this. If I hadn't, I don't know that I would be.
Right.
Everyone's on their own journey. So I'll tell you that.
Right.
But my son also, and my husband, the three of us, as my son was growing up, we all experienced contact with ETs. And so we were sort of obsessed with Dr. Greer because he was sort of the only guy out there that was talking about, here's a protocol you can do to physically call them in if you want communication. And so my son and I got the CD. We were so excited. It was 2009. He was about, I think, 14 or 15. And so we were here visiting my dad when he was alive and my mom at this cabin. And so we were outside at night. We did the protocol, and the four of us were standing on the deck, and we were just waiting, like, okay, well, what's going to happen? And my mom and dad were like, well, is something supposed to happen? We're all kind of waiting. And because Sam and I had done the meditation and, the whole protocol. And then we look up, and here comes, just bursting through right over our heads, this giant orb. And it was huge. It took up the entire sky above the house.
Wow.
It was, everywhere you looked, it was that huge. It was just like you couldn't look. It looked like a full moon. It was just this giant glowing orb straight above us, dead silent, eerily calm. And that's another feature. It gets super calm and quiet
when they appear.
Yes, you can't hear. There's no animal sounds, no wind, no nothing. It's like you're in a weird little cocoon, it's just dead calm quiet.
Yeah, the whole
We were looking
atmosphere
up, and my
changes.
mom and my son and I, my dad was, he didn't see it, which was crazy, because we were going, look up, Dad, look up, it's over our heads, Dad, and he wouldn't look up. He was looking straight ahead, and we're all looking up. We're all just like, what? and we were shaking, we were crying, we were laughing. It was me, my mom, and my son, and we just couldn't even believe it. We're like, what did we do? We're like, are we going to get beamed up? Oh my God. I mean, we were saying that, and it lasted probably 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds.
Uh-huh.
It was a pretty good chunk of time. And we were all just holding each other's hands and shaking and laughing and crying. And it was just, like I said, it took up the entire, this was a 1,700 square foot home. So it was filling the sky above us. We couldn't, and the whole place was lit up.
Wow.
And then,
So the light,
really,
I'm sorry, the light of the orb or the whatever that was lit the ground,
right,
actually.
the orb ship. Yeah.
Wow.
We thought it was a giant ship, but it was silent again. And it was right over our heads. And we're like, are we going to get beamed up? Oh my God.
Wow.
And then it just hung there silently. And then it went, it started to move it came in from the east, and it started to move to the west. And so we were walking along under it like, oh, where's it going? And then it just went, but it was silent. I'm doing a noise like it's flying away.
Yeah, it just shot up, right? Instantaneously.
It shot. We were like, what? And it shot directly out to the west and up into the sky, and it disappeared. And it was so fast. And it had, like I said, it was huge. There's nothing that huge that could move so fast. It's like physically impossible. And we were like, what? What just happened? And it just went, like 60,000 miles an hour. That was our guess. How fast was that? I don't know, 60,000 miles an hour.
Fast.
Crazy.
So Marty, this light, this orb, this huge orb that was over you, and you said it was like a pale yellow color. Could you see inside of it?
Kind of.
Or was it just light? Could you see anything inside of it?
No. It was flat light. It was as if you were looking, but it was a structure. It was as if you were seeing like the moon hanging over our house.
Oh, okay.
So it was like a solid thing, but it was glowing light, so you couldn't really tell, are there windows? Is it a ship? Is it a structure? We felt it was a structure. We felt it was a ship just because of how it behaved, hanging over us like, well, you asked for it. Here we are. We're hanging right over you, and now we're going to take off and show you something really crazy.
Wow.
And it was just, we could not even. And my mom's 83, and she still counts that as probably the coolest thing that's ever happened to her.
That's incredible.
I'll never forget it as long as I live. That was the most amazing thing that you and Sam did.
Wow. Well, we have to take a break. Marty, can you come back with us? Do you have a little bit more time? Because I want to show and talk about the beings that could be on these or in these orbs. So we'll take a break. And when we come back, I even have a picture.
Mm-hmm.
OMTimes TV. Imagine becoming a super influencer. Reinvent yourself, invest in your brand, and then manifest your success with a robust spheric approach. OMTimes Media and Broadcasting offers a unique and multifaceted way to become the spiritual and conscious influencer you deserve to be by putting your message across our powerful platform with its proven record of integrity and excellence. Through our produced shows, OMTimes offers the opportunity to become a social media TV personality, a radio show host, an OMTimes magazine columnist, and a syndicated podcaster, all in one shot. By live streaming your show on OMTimes TV and broadcasting it across the extensive OMTimes radio and TV networks, you become more than a host. You become an ambassador and a force for positive change. OMTimes. Open yourself to the possibilities. The story told in Entering the Light Fantastic, Discovering Life After Life Through Orbs, is about Nancy Meyers' spiritual and emotional rising from the devastating ashes of loss caused by the sudden and unexpected passing of her son Robbie. Just like the legend of the reborn phoenix, Nancy's life purpose and focus was transformed. With the help from her son and spirit, Nancy found herself providing proof through orbs that our souls do not die with our bodies. In her second book, Encircled by the Light Fantastic, A Deeper Journey into the Light with Orbs, Nancy continues chronicling her path of gaining spiritual knowledge and expanding acceptance of what is possible, while traveling to many sacred and ancient sites around the world. She shares these experiences with you along with her photographs of remarkable spirit encounters.
When I first saw a turtle, my heart was full. Now anything but lonely.
We had this deep connection, this heart connection.
He just wants to be close to you and part of your life.
Every day with turtle is a perfect day.
When I'm holding her, it makes me feel calmer.
I think everything he does shows how much he loves us.
When we adopt a shelter pet,
We discover
they're a little bit of a lot of things.
But they're all pure
Pure love.
love.
And welcome back. Marty, you still with me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yay, technology is working. Okay, so I want to set this up a little bit. So I had a reading with Rebecca Rosen, and you all, if you have watched some of my podcasts, have met Rebecca. She's a medium, and she's very good, like Marty. And she was early on in my journey. I wanted to know who my guides were. And so when I had the reading with her, she said, "Oh, you have a guide here." And I said, "Oh, great. That's exactly, what I want to know." She goes, this guide is blue. It's a blue guide." And I thought that was, all I could think of was the Blue Man Crew, in Las Vegas. And I said, "Well, that's unusual. Does this guy have a name?" And she said, "Ra." And I went, "Ra." And I said, "Okay." So I did a little research, after she told me that. So who is Ra? Well, couple of things. Ra, of course, is one of the oldest Egyptian gods, and he is referred to as the sun god. But interestingly enough, he is represented either by a blue eagle or a falcon-headed man. Ra, like I said, means sun, and he is considered the supreme ruler and the embodiment of divine order and balance. Remember that, because we're going to talk about that. Now, Ra is considered the creator of seasons, plants, and animals. And his cohort, or somebody who he seems always to be with, is another Egyptian god called Thoth. And Thoth is also a man with a blue ibis head in the representations of him. Now, he is credited with developing writing and science. But there are several cultures whose gods are bird-like beings. From the Native Americans to the Indians, East Indians, they all have these bird-like or feathered deities that they worship.
Yeah.
But there is another Ra. And when Rebecca told me that I had a guide named Ra, one of the first things that came into my mind was Ra, this book, The Law of One. This is a fascinating book. It's claimed to have been channeled by Carla Ruckert back in the 1970s. And it explains how this all happened, but to condense it, she became a channel for Ra and would channel their incredible messages. These messages in here are very incredible. But they asked, "Who is Ra?" And Ra said, "We are a collective." So it wasn't an individual, it was a collective, which would fit with ascended beings and what Marty was talking about earlier, the one consciousness, right, Marty?
Yes.
And so I know. So there is kind of a being that I'm going to talk about But I wanted Marty to explain or to talk about the reading that you did for me when you were channeling Robbie and where he took you and who was with him.
Yes. And we were, it was, I can't remember which one, we'll have to look that up later, which number of.
Oh, it's on
it
YouTube.
was.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It is there. And I was being taken, Robbie and I, when I channel, when I go into trance, I'm in trance and I'm seeing what he's seeing. It's sort of like I'm visualizing us two walking into this place together. And so we were taken, Robbie and I, and Nancy as well. All of us were taken into this mountaintop. And the mountaintop, I realized, oh, that's Mount Adams. Oh my God, of course it is. Because I was sitting here, I believe, when I did it. And so we were inside the mountain in a beautiful tall cave room, a tall cavern. And it had, we were all standing around a big crowd of beings, humanoid and ET, standing around in a circle around this tall emerald crystal fire. It looked like the crystals were glowing hard. And so that's how I could describe it, is that these super tall green crystals were glowing, hot green, or like a crystal fire.
Wow.
So we were standing around that, and one of your guides was there. I described her, beautiful blonde, exotic looking, and then you later on showed me, hey, did she look like this? And that was your Leonini.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I had done a drawing of her.
Yes. And I didn't know that. I just was describing what I saw. I'm like, okay, here's who I'm seeing. I'm seeing this beautiful white hair, blonde, person. And then I'm seeing Ra, or the blue avian. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. So, and I can't remember who else was there, but it was quite a collection of people. I think Archangel Michael, and but just a huge group of guides, teachers, of ours, of Robbie and me and you. And I didn't really know that at the time. It's sort of like that was a big introduction.
Yes.
To, oh, we work with these people. Oh, of course we do.
Yeah.
And, because you can't make that up. It's just so strange and odd. And like, well, these are the people I'm seeing. And so I described them to you. And I think I gave names if I could, but it was just Robbie speaking through me, I believe.
Yep.
And, but I was there witnessing, I'm seeing visually as well of the same thing. We were both there together. That's how I see us when we travel to different places and I channel him. He will speak through me, and I try to set my own thoughts to the left so that he can talk to his mom and tell her, okay, here's what's happening.
Yeah, here's
but
what
I'm
you need to know.
Too. I'm watching what's happening. So I visually remember a lot of this. The words I don't remember really.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's on. We did that series of YouTube.
Yeah, it's on there.
Yeah, where Marty actually.
That was so neat.
Robbie.
That was so interesting.
But what's interesting about this is you know nothing about my blue guide, and you knew nothing about my other guide who I channel now, Leonini. But when you saw,
no, I didn't.
When you saw this blue being, you just said the word blue avian. What did you see? How was it described, or what? How would you describe it? I should say.
He was a bird, it looked like a bird man, a man with a blue head and a sort of a beaky. It looked like a bird man.
Okay, a human
feathers. Yes.
Blue human body with a bird-like features in the head, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned that this was the blue avian. I have learned about this blue avian later, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about this because it's incredible, and hopefully this gets you, audience, to think differently about who these beings are, because they're not coming here to harm us. They're coming here to help us move up so that we can become a part of the level that they are on. And unfortunately, our government and those in power want to make it feel like a threat so that they can control it. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But the blue avians,
let's go down the rabbit hole on that one.
yeah, exactly. And if you follow again Dr. Stephen Greer, his documentaries are fabulous, and it will explain all this. But the blue avians, evidently, and Marty has seen one. That's why I'm so grateful that she's here on the show. But there are other people who see them, who can communicate with them. And this is what we've learned from the communications. So they are a pacifist race who carry a message of peace and hope for humanity. They have visited us thousands of years ago. They said maybe 3 or 4 times they come and they try to help us move up. But unfortunately, the knowledge is twisted. So at this time, they are coming back to help us once again. Their intelligence goes beyond physical limitations, and they act as a single intelligent being or consciousness, which goes right along with the book of Ra when they said, we are a consciousness. They are so enlightened and so ascended that they have become one. That's what the universe is, universe, one. They have come again to help change the consciousness of humans to, again, a higher vibration. It is said that they exist in the 9th dimension. When not in physical form, and I just about fell off my chair when I read this, it says they travel in spherical devices. So could the blue, right. So could the blue avian race be the basis for bird-headed gods going all the way back to Egypt, to ancient Egypt, and other, I have goosebumps, and other cultures who represent their deities as birds? Why not? It's a possibility. You know, I tell my audience, one of my mantras is, with God, all things are possible. And as Wayne Dyer said, what does that leave out? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, with all that being said, and all what I've just told you about the blue avians, Chris, if you can bring up the last picture, because I captured my guide in his vehicle. And there, on the one side, you can see the representation, the artist representation of kind of what the blue avian race looks like. And if you look in my orb, you can see the 2 dark eyes, and there's the lighter beak. And I've captured it a couple times, but this is the best one for you to see too. So, so there you go. And then if we can get that last picture, Chris. So I made this after doing and writing up this podcast for you, because universe, one voice, universe, one meaning, universe, one truth. We are all one. And it goes back to that book I showed you, Ra, the Law of One. Thank you, Chris. It's like these beings are coming in, Marty, right, to help us. They want to communicate with us, and with Marty's skills. And when she channels, she communicates with them, right?
Yes. And it is the law of one is, it's exactly, you can go through, I have a book on comparative religions. You can go through all the major religions of the world, and everyone has a version of the law of one.
Yes.
In there as the basis for their religion. You know, the golden rule in Christianity: do unto others as you would have done to you.
Yes.
Treat others as you would want to be treated. And that's just the basis of everything. If everyone lived that way, you can imagine what a peaceful, beautiful world it would be.
It was Jesus's message to us all. You know, he gave us one commandment: love one another, right? It doesn't get any simpler. But I want to, Marty, I want to thank you. I know, you've taken time out of your busy day to be with us. I appreciate you working to get on the show at the very least with the telephone and to share your amazing stories. One day I'm going to have you back because I know there's so many magical things that happen on your mountain, and hopefully we can share them with the audience. So with that, I want to say goodbye and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you too. So there's a quote that kind of sums this up for me. There was one of my favorite movies. Jodie Foster was in it, and it was called Contact. And there was a discussion with her and her dad, who was an astrophysicist. And she had asked him, Dad, do you think we are the only ones in this universe? And now, as I said, with billions of stars and quadrillions of planets. And his answer was, he said, I guess I'd say, if it's just us, seems like an awful waste of space. So for me, I have an open mind. These beings, these civilizations, we have things. I travel around the world and I see these megalithic sites, and I see how they're constructed and the size of the stones and the preciseness of how they're fitted and where they're moved from. Do you know that today, with all the technology that we have, we cannot recreate it? We can't do it. So who built those? Was it the blue avians that had come in, in another time to try and help us? Who knows? But I think it's a possibility. So I want to read you Leonini's message. Hopefully all this is, you're not sitting there going, I don't believe any of this. I don't, but if it kind of cracks open the door of a possibility for you, that's all I ask. So I sat yesterday with Leonini, and I always say, okay, I would like a message pertinent to my podcast. And this is what she gave me. She said, to feel is when you experience the texture, the temperature, the makeup of something with the outside sense of touch. But you can also feel on the inside, and this is called a feeling. To have a feeling means your being, your soul, senses a vibration or energy, sending signals to your brain. What is this process? It is your intuition, your psychic awareness, which you are equipped with naturally, so that these signals may be used as guidance or even warnings. Did you know you had that extra sense within you? And isn't it amazing that it is even called a sense? Because it is this sense that helps you to make sense of a situation. This inside sense can be a powerful tool to help you navigate your path. It is not your imagination when you feel something on the inside. It is your sense of feeling being activated. So what she's telling us is don't ignore those feelings. And we all have that ability within us to do that. So I always do a card reading. And of course, of all my decks, I have a card that says Starry Beings or Beginnings. Isn't that funny? I just saw beings, Starry Beginnings. So I'm going to shuffle my deck of cards here for you, if I can find them. And I'll pull a card that with an intention that this helps you all in some form or fashion on your journey. So let me shuffle this card. And now again, these pictures that I showed to you today, they're here at OMTimes if you go to the archives, and they're also on my website, which is theorbconnection.com, and you can take a look at those. If you want to read a good book, I would highly recommend Ra, The Law of One, because these are the messages from these people who are trying to, or these civilizations, these beings who are now trying to contact us. So This is the back of the card, and this is the card that I just pulled. And of course it is. It says, "You have a sensitive antenna. Sensitive people collect the emotions of others." Now, how well does that tie in with Leonini's message? And how well does that tie in with what these star beings, these advanced civilizations, these extraterrestrials, I hate to call them aliens, that sounds so degrading, are trying to do? They're trying to contact us through our consciousness. It's not like we're going to sit down and talk. We're going to talk telepathically, because Robbie has told me on the other side, when he goes, they don't talk. They communicate telepathically because they are at a higher level, a higher dimension, a higher vibration. Well, these civilizations are also there. And so that's how they communicate. And when we raise our vibration, when we try to um, um, teach ourselves to advance spiritually, then we have that ability to connect on that level and to connect with the web of consciousness. It's there for us. It's there for everybody. So I know I have a few minutes here, and I wanted to share a story. And it again involved Marty. When I was growing up, my grandmother, bless her heart, and this was probably back in the 70s, 60s, 70s, she would always buy the National Enquirer. That's when it first came out. And as soon as it came out, we had to take her to the store so she'd get her copy of the National Enquirer, and she would read it from cover to cover. But what drew her attention, or what she really enjoyed, was to read the stories about the ETs, about the aliens, about the spaceships, about these people's wacky stories. So here's the thing. The government did such a number on us that anybody who reported ETs or UFOs or experiences, they made you out to be insane or a nut job, or you would lose your job, or people would shun you. Why would they do that? You have to think about that. Why would they do that? Why can't we be honest about, our experiences? So when my poor grandmother would tell us and go, "Look, read these stories. These are real." And we go, "Grandma, you've lost it. You've gone over the deep end." And she wanted to tell us more, but she was afraid that she would be belittled, or that people wouldn't believe her. Well, and I apologize to her profusely, since she has crossed over. So I had a reading with Marty, and she said, "Oh, your grandma's here." And I said, "Oh, okay." And she said, "Oh," she goes, "Do you know that your grandmother had a ET experience?" And I went, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, she's telling me she wants you to know she has had her own ET experience." And I went, "Oh my gosh, that explains so many things." Besides the National Enquirer that she would read from cover to cover, at night, my grandmother would go from window to window and make sure that the curtains, the blinds were sealed. I mean, she would even tape some curtains so you couldn't see in from the sides. So I think she was telling me that at some point, something contacted her, or she saw something in the middle of the night, or it came into her room and it frightened her because she didn't understand it. And, I've had several conversations with Marty, and Marty, um, as she said, she's had many experiences since she was a little girl. But a lot of times, these bright lights come right through the wall or right through the ceiling into the room, these balls of light. And I'm wondering, maybe that happened to my grandmother. They say that if you have an experiencer in the family, it kind of follows generation to generation. And now here I am with Ra. So with that, I will leave you. I hope you enjoyed the show. I know it was a bit thought-provoking and really out there, but it's another sphere of spirit. So I hope to see you next time. Thank you again. Take care. Bye-bye.